Hello, UCAR. Peter Christensen here, coming to you from the CEO's desk. We are going to talk in the next couple of videos. I'm going to break this into 2 videos about the affirmative duties of a licensee in the state of Utah. So I feel like we've been talking about, we talk about agency a lot. It's at the heart of what we do. And the admin rules in Utah lay out some affirmative duties required by licensed individuals. And that's where we get those fiduciary duties. Sometimes we talk about in classes. So I'm going to break those down, and we're going to talk about individually some of those. So what it says is that an individual licensee shall uphold the following fiduciary duties in the course of representing a principal. Okay? So that's the framework. Loyalty. So the first one is loyalty. And how they define that is obligates an agent to place the best interests of the principal above any other interests, including the agent's own. And so this is where we get that idea that the interests of a client are of your client are paramount, right? So above even what you're gonna get paid potentially, and so you're asked to put their interests first, yours secondary, and make sure the transaction gets done smoothly for them. And does that mean you can't ask to get paid? No, of course not. Of course not. But what it means is you won't do something contrary to their best interest in favor of your best interest. So, for instance, chasing a deal that they're not as excited about because maybe it's more lucrative for you as the agent. That would be breaching your duty of loyalty to your client. So that's the first one they talk about. It's probably number 1 in my mind too. It's just making sure you're taking care of that client first. Okay, the second is obedience. And this obligates the agent to obey any lawful instructions from the principal. So this one brings up all kinds of good questions. First of all, you got to know what the law is and when the instruction of a client could not be followed. For instance, deceiving the other party, maybe withholding information. That one is an important one. So information about the property, defects in the property, that would not be lawful to conceal those. So not a lawful instruction. But also it gets tricky too what's your role when discussing what your role is when an agent a client maybe wants to make a move tactically in a negotiation, in a deal that you don't agree with, but it's not unlawful. So what is your role? Ultimately, it's the decision of the client, right? And sometimes it's a tough position to be in. But your job is to advise the client of the ramifications, what happens, what are the consequences of the action in terms of the contract, of the forms, of the deal, and then ultimately let them make that decision, right? And so sometimes I know I've talked to realtors who've asked, I don't think this is a very smart move. I don't think this is a very good move, but my client's insisting on it. I think it's going to blow up in their face. What do I do? And I tell them something like, explain that to them. But then if they decide to do it, you got to help them. You got to follow their lawful instructions. And so it may go south and you may say, I told you so. And that's your job, I think, is to warn them and to let them know. But at the end of the day, it's their decision to make. And there's some comfort in that you advise them, but ultimately they bear the responsibility of making the decision because it's their deal. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so those are the first two fiduciary duties. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about the others in the next video. Remember, this is not legal advice. This is legal information only. If you need specific legal advice, please contact your attorney. Thanks for tuning in.